There's something strange about sitting in a room full of people you love and feeling completely alone. You're there physically, smiling at the right moments, nodding when expected, but inside there's a glass wall no one else can see. They're laughing, talking, reaching for you, and yet you can't quite reach back. Not because you don't want to, but because something inside you has learned to float just beyond connection, hovering in a space where touch never quite lands. You tell yourself it's temporary, that tomorrow will be different, but the next gathering arrives, and the same quiet distance returns. You watch yourself from somewhere outside your body, performing closeness while feeling miles away. And the worst part is, nobody notices. Or maybe they do, but they don't know how to name what they're sensing. So you keep showing up, keep pretending the glass isn't there, while inside you wonder if you'll ever feel fully present again. Psychologists call this emotional detachment, but that term feels too clinical for what's actually happening. It's not that you don't care. It's that caring feels like watching a movie of your own life, seeing the emotions play out on screen, but not quite living inside them. You know you should feel more, want to feel more, but the circuits that connect heart to presence seem to misfire. The warmth that should flood through you when someone you love enters the room arrives muted, filtered, distant. This kind of detachment often begins as protection. Maybe you grew up in a home where emotions were unpredictable, where love felt conditional, or safety meant staying small. Your nervous system learned early that feeling too much meant getting hurt, so it built walls not to keep others out, but to keep you safe from your own vulnerability. If this perspective resonates, you can support the video by liking it. The brain's limbic system, responsible for emotional processing, can actually dampen its own responses when overwhelmed repeatedly. It's not a conscious choice. It's biology adapting to survive. When a child experiences emotional neglect or inconsistent attachment, their developing mind learns to regulate by disconnecting. The strategy works. They survive childhood, but the pattern remains, quietly shaping every relationship that follows. You start noticing it in small ways. A friend shares exciting news, and you feel yourself responding from a script rather than genuine joy. Your partner reaches for your hand, and though you hold it, something inside you remains untouched. Family gatherings become performances where you play your role convincingly enough that no one questions whether you're truly there. Comment detached if this describes your experience. What makes this particularly painful is that detachment doesn't discriminate. It affects the people you love most, the ones you desperately want to connect with. You watch them offer pieces of themselves, their laughter, their stories, their presence, and you want to meet them there. But when you reach inward for the response that should come naturally, you find only numbness, a quiet void where feeling should live. Attachment theory explains how early bonds shape our capacity for intimacy. When primary caregivers are emotionally unavailable or inconsistent, children develop what researchers call avoidant attachment. They learn that depending on others leads to disappointment, so they create self-sufficient emotional systems that don't require deep connection. This becomes their normal, a baseline of distance they carry into adulthood without realizing it's a choice their younger self made for them. The paradox is that detachment feels both safe and suffocating. Safe because it protects you from the chaos of uncontrolled emotion, from the risk of being seen fully and rejected. Suffocating because humans are wired for connection, and denying that need creates a different kind of pain, the ache of living behind glass, visible but unreachable, Type YES if this helped you understand something about yourself. Some people experience this as dissociation, a psychological state where the mind separates from immediate experience. During moments that should feel intimate, you might notice yourself observing rather than participating, analyzing the interaction instead of living inside it. Your thoughts become commentary on what's happening rather than engagement with it. This split between observer and participant creates an internal distance that others can sense even when they can't explain it. Neuroscience shows that trauma, even subtle emotional trauma, can alter how the brain processes connection. The prefrontal cortex, which regulates emotional response, can become overactive, essentially thinking your way out of feeling. Meanwhile, the areas responsible for emotional warmth and social bonding show reduced activation. You're not broken. Your brain simply learned to prioritize protection over presence. The people around you might sense something's off. They might say you seem distant or ask if everything's okay, and you want to explain. But how do you describe feeling absent while being there? How do you tell someone you love them but can't quite feel them? So you say you're tired, stressed, distracted. Anything that explains the gap without exposing the deeper truth that you're not sure how to be fully present anymore. If someone you know might benefit from this, feel free to share it. What's happening beneath detachment is often unprocessed emotion, feelings you never learned to hold, grief that was never acknowledged, anger that had nowhere safe to go. These emotions don't disappear when ignored. They accumulate, creating pressure that the mind relieves through disconnection. By numbing yourself to overwhelming feelings, you also numb yourself to joy, to love, to the simple warmth of being with people who care. Recovery isn't about forcing yourself to feel. It's about slowly building safety within your own nervous system, teaching your body that presence doesn't always lead to pain. This happens through small acts, noticing when you drift away during conversations and gently returning, allowing yourself to feel discomfort without immediately disconnecting, sitting with emotion long enough to realize it won't destroy you. Therapy, particularly approaches focused on attachment and somatic experiencing, can help rewire these patterns. The goal isn't to eliminate protection mechanisms entirely, but to update them, to help your mind recognize that adult relationships aren't the same as childhood wounds, that vulnerability now doesn't carry the same consequences it once did. If this gave you clarity, comment glass below. The truth is, detachment served a purpose once. It kept you functional when feeling everything would have overwhelmed you. But what protected the child often isolates the adult. The glass wall that once felt like shelter now feels like a cage, separating you from the very connections you crave. Healing means acknowledging the wall exists, understanding why your mind built it, and slowly, carefully, learning that it's safe to let pieces of it dissolve. Not all at once, but in moments, in small allowances of genuine feeling, in practicing presence, even when everything inside you wants to float away. You don't have to stay behind the glass forever. The people you love are still there, still reaching. And somewhere beneath the numbness, beneath the protection, there's a part of you that wants to reach back. That part is still alive, still hoping. It's just waiting for permission to feel again. If this helped you see emotional detachment more clearly, consider liking the video. What moment made you realize you'd been disconnecting from people you care about? And if you want to explore more about the hidden patterns shaping human connection, Subscribe for psychological insights that help you understand what you've been feeling but couldn't name.